Right, it's 1 a.m. Saturday. Technically today we're already leaving for the first big tournament since the end of the last lockdown. But before I'll see you tomorrow morning, we're gonna give a couple of finishing touches to the deck that we're gonna play tomorrow, which is obviously gonna be Thunder Dragon. Of course, what else should it be? With only some minor changes to the last video, so this should be about the list that we're gonna play. We need a couple of cards though, so hopefully we're gonna get them at the location. And I've waited the entire week just to get to this tournament finally, and it's gonna be great fun hopefully. So I'm very excited. I'm also excited because the first time I'll be bringing my camera to a real life event, so let's see how that's gonna go. All right, see you tomorrow. Right.
Right, it's like 6:15, we're leaving in a couple of minutes. It's early as hell and we only slept like 4 to 5 hours, so it's gonna be interesting how this tournament goes, but I'm super excited. So don't forget your banana, don't forget to eat something when you go to a tournament, it's super important. Then I'll see you there. Never forget that one.
The reason we had to get up so early was because the tournament started at around 11, so we had to be there at 10:30 latest. That's about a 3-hour drive from Vienna to Poking, which is the small city the tournament was held at. So it was really early. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament day feels a lot like Christmas. It doesn't really matter how much sleep you get, you'll be excited anyway. First we had to take the subway though to get to our friend Paul. Oh, this is Paul by the way. He was kind enough to offer us a spot in his car alongside a couple of friends of ours.
Got ourselves a little snack on the way, very, very important. Don't ever forget to eat. The doom of your tournament day. If you're hungry, it's only gonna get worse.
We finally got to the car, and the car ride went by extremely quickly, thanks to my oh so good friends Jonas, whose first tournament this was outside of locals, shout out to him, and Philip, who apart from being a longtime friend is usually my travel buddy when it comes to events. Both of them shared the tight backbench with me. Fast forward, we're at the location, and yes, what you see right here is actually the location, but what looked like an outdated restaurant at first turned out as such a cozy and warm place to play Yu-Gi-Oh! At, which you definitely won't get at the super large event halls you see for regionals or YCSs for example. So that was really cool.
Right, we just arrived. As you can see, I'm a total vlog pro. Not being able to put the camera somewhere where I don't have to stand like this. I just got the secret card, the secret tech card, Guilty Gear Freed. I think this is going to be really good with Super Poly this time around versus the base deck. You can fuse the Baroness of Fleur as well as the DP. And yeah, it's just going to be amazing to see how it's going to go. And I'm very excited, here with a couple of friends, so it's just going to be a good time for sure. Alright, I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.
It had to come how it had to come, and we got the buy round one. At least we could support Jonas, who was playing on the table next to us, mentally first before we took a closer look around the location. And I think I haven't mentioned that the prize for this tournament was actually a Nintendo Switch with boxes of the newest set being rewarded for the top 4. So pretty reasonable pricing. Eventually round 2 started, and we basically started the tournament for free with a 1-0 record. I recorded every match in theory, but instead of going over all of them in extreme detail, I just kind of want to give you an idea of what happened and how we either lost or won a game. For this round 2, our first opponent was playing Cyber's Eldritch with Brave Token Engine, which is a deck that I definitely respected going into the tournament. We lost the dice roll, but they didn't draw enough of their different engines, so they basically went Adventure Griffin, set 1, pass. We started with Emergency Teleport, bringing out Dr. Frankenderp, then we normal summoned Chaos Summoning Beast, a level 1 monster, after that, and used that to make Lukrembo. Because we had Viper Burster in our hand as well, we could easily go into Curious out their board by summoning an Orbital Hydrolander and Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer down the line and grind them out from there, so they decided to scoop. Game 2 they went first, and at least this time drew a starter in Dotscaper, which is basically a 1-card Scythe-lock combo. I decided to use Gamma with Driver in my hand like the real gamers we are, on the mandatory effect of Link Devotee, because the Cyber's Eldritch deck struggles to extend after that from my experience. That did actually work, and they only set 2 cards and passed. From there, we opened our turn with opening of the Spirit Gates, but instead of going for the greedy play of making Curious, we decided to just make Anaconda and summon DP. And after a longer grind game, we were able to take the win, and I think the decision not to have extend into Curious actually played a big role in that. Since it was a 7-round tournament with cut to top 8, the 2-0 start was nice but wasn't saying anything yet. Round 3 started and we won the dice roll this time, let's go. We started with the Sacred Beast engine. They augured the opening of the Spirit Gates effect to summon from the grave. We extend once again with Wyver Burster. They Nibiru us after we used Striker Dragon's effect and before we can go into Curious, but we managed to make Curious anyway. By a pretty cool interaction, we used the Nibiru token Gamma, which we brought on the field with Emergency Teleport and Chaos Valkyria. We milled Snow with Curious, and before we can go into DPE, they scoop. Game 2, our opponent went first. We Droll and Lockbirded them, and they were only able to end on Hieratic Seal. Our hand wasn't the greatest, but I am quite confident that in the end we would have won the game. But unfortunately time was called and I had paid, I think, 500 life points for Frankenderp at some point around the 10-minute mark or something. That ended up being the deciding factor, which was kind of unfortunate because drawing was almost as bad as losing in this specific tournament since it was so hard to get into the top cut with around 103 players playing. So round 4 I was super motivated. We were not on the bubble yet, but if we'd lose this match, it would look pretty grim for us. We went first, activated Chaos Space and had to face our arch nemesis, Droll and Logbird game 1. Honestly, I was surprised on how much we could still end on, ending the turn with IP Masquerena, Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer and Snow in the graveyard, with not many cards to banish however. Unfortunately, they had all the engines this time, Brave Tokens, Magician Souls, Prank Kids, and that was just too much for us to deal with. Game 2, what can I say? The first 3 cards I saw were Dasher, Celestial and Boot Sector Launch, so I don't think I have to go into detail on how that game went. So we were 2-1-1, which was obviously a terrible record, and you'd think the matchups would become easier from that point on. Oh boy, how was I wrong. Look, I don't know if any of you have that in your community, but legends in Austria say, if you go to a tournament, everyone will give their best, and in the end, Florian gonna wins. Flo is a friend, and he's one of the best, if not the best player in Austria, having multiple YCS tops and being in the game for who really knows how long. He's protected by plot armor, so no matter how the odds stand, in the end, Flo will always win. Jokes aside, that is sort of true. Of course, even though our record was terrible, Flo's was as well and we had to play each other. And maybe you will believe the plot armor thing if I tell you about this match. He won the dice roll, he played Phantom Knights, I think without Scythelock, and he ended with Griffin Rider, Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer and a set Fogblade. Our hand is actually pretty good, since we opened Droplet, so we banish a Chaos Valkyria, we discarded with Dragon Ravine to summon Chaos Valkyria, and we used the Banished One's effect to get Chaos Nephthys in the grave, since usually that card alone should win us this matchup. Later on with DPE we could, get Nephthys back and sort of abuse it in that sense. We make Chaos Ruler with Chaos Valkyria and Rocket Tracer. Flo chains Fogblade, we chain Droplets, getting rid of the Chaos Ruler and feeling like a real chat. I don't know if that's the correct word, I'm so bad with these Twitch memes. And at this point, I felt as if we couldn't possibly lose this game anymore. Well, we mill a couple of monsters as well as Celestial, which is kind of unfortunate, but that happens sometimes with the deck. We add the Celestial to our hand so we can make DPE later, but then we later make Curious, milling Snow, but we also mill Dasher, making both our DPE engine dead and the add from Chaos Ruler useless. That kind of destroys our game plan, but what we try to do is we summon Hydralander that we had in our hand, go for Dark with Tracer and Recharger, crash into their Bardiche and search a second Hydralander. In order to summon that second Hydralander, we have to regulate our grave with Snow first, so we summon it out, and that's where I did a misplay that cost me the game. I moved into the end phase for no reasonable reason, as I may say so, and the plan was to destroy my own Snow with one of the Hydralanders. I specifically made sure we didn't have any duplicates or monsters that have duplicates in the deck left in the grave anymore. Well, we went to the end phase and milled 2 Nessie, making us unable to destroy our monster and not being able to link the Snow off, because we were in the end phase, to at least turn our Hydralanders on for Flo's turn. I'm not gonna go into much more detail, but we both grinded until we didn't have any engine cards left in our deck, and Flo resolved his 3rd Rite of Aramesia in this one game, poking me to death because I couldn't get out a monster with more than 2000 attack anymore. Yep, we lost. But to be fair, and I think, Flo, if you're watching this, I can speak for both of us that this was one of the craziest games we both have ever played. Round 6 I was not able to record since the battery of our camera died, seeing as the vlog pro that I am. The reason we kept playing was because top 16 got the qualification for a follow-up tournament in May that will also have some nice pricing. Round 7. Do you remember Philip, our good buddy that we always travel with? Well, it had to come how it had to come once again, and we had to face Philip in the final round, which I don't know if any of you have experienced that before, but Philip and me, we play every week at locals, and to have us play against each other at a 103-man tournament, that's pretty funny. We went first, made Curious, which Philip reasonably enough responded to with Ash. We still ended on a board of Hydrolander, IP Mascarena, Apollosa and Snow in the graveyard, so he decided to scoop after just a few plays. It's always a funny dynamic when you play versus a good friend in a serious tournament setting, since you most likely know most of the other stack lists, so side decking patterns can change quite significantly. Philip decided to go first for game 2 and ended on a board of Hieratic Seal with DPE. We were able to force him to summon Aether off Seal to get rid of our cards, but we were still able to end on a DPE of our own to start grinding with. Philip made Dark, the Link monster, summoning our DPE to his side of the field, and he more or less passed turn on that. We forced him to use DPE preemptively on our turn on one of our monsters because he had to be scared of Curious coming down. But after he realized we could still go into Curious by using Opening of the Spirit Gates effect to reborn again this turn, he scooped it up since we were able to get a snowball rolling from here. So we won the last round, making a finishing record of 4-2-1, which was less than ideal, but it actually secured us a spot for the follow-up tournament in May, since some of the guys from top 16 had already qualified for the tournament in a different way. So winning the last game versus Philip was not that unimportant after all, at least. Driving home from an event is, and I don't know if any of you can relate to this, always a double-edged sword for me. You feel so tired that you would love to just zone out and go to bed immediately. On the other hand, you're so hyped from the fun you had that you don't want to go home. So yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Might not be a game for kids in all honesty, but it surely does make me feel like a kid again when I'm at events like this. For us, we had a nice easy drive home, and one of the best things about leaving for basically any activity is the reward of getting to come home and grabbing an apple after a long day like this. Alright, it's been a hell of a day, but a very good one. Let's have a few finishing words. Even though we scrubbed out of the event, no question, 4-2-1 was our finishing record. I had the greatest time, honestly. It's been such a long time since I've been on an event like this, a bigger one. That is not even in my country, Austria, but Germany, which is obviously a neighboring country. It's just been phenomenal. Like, it's just a feeling, it's just a feeling of being on a tournament that is not your locals, but something bigger. Here in Europe, we don't really get these tournaments at the moment at all, with no YCS being announced. This is the best we can get, and I hope it was reasonably entertaining to watch the video. I don't know at the moment how everything is going to look in the end. I hope it's going to look somewhat fun, and wherever you are, that this is also some sort of perspective that you get into what it's like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In a small country like Austria. I'm super tired. I'm going to go to sleep now. Alright, I will see you guys very, very soon in a different kind of video, and until then, I can only say, hope you loved it, and I'll see you in the next one.